So first up this evening, we'll have our U.S. Congress District 5, and that'll be speaking on behalf of Lance Gooden, will be his wife Alexa Gooden, and Mr. Don Hill. Mr. Hill, you'll have podium number 1, and Ms. Gooden, you'll have podium number 2, and y'all will share that microphone. So, where'd you go? Come on up here. Let her have the mic first. She got the draw. Slide it up there.
Hello. Hi. This is a great crowd. Whoa. Okay. Whew. Hi, I'm Alexa Gooden. I am the wife of Lance Gooden, our congressman for CD5. I am so proud of my husband. Unfortunately, of course, he could not be here tonight. He is in D.C. voting for all of us and fighting against the liberals in Washington. As you may know,
I don't want it to go to anybody.
As you may know, Lance is a vocal, proud supporter of our wonderful president, Donald Trump. Woo! And he and the president have such a great relationship that Lance was the first congressman to be endorsed this election cycle by the president. The president considers Lance one of his strongest allies and confidants. He is in constant communication with my husband, making sure that he wins his re-election and that he is on the president's leadership team to make sure the president wins re-election and that we take back the House. Lance has been ranked most conservative member of the Texas delegation in Congress. Not only that, but he has been endorsed by numerous conservative groups in Texas and the country. He has delivered on all his campaign promises. He supports the Make America Great agenda. He strongly supports our pro-gun Second Amendment values. He fights for our pro-life values. He is fully supportive of building a wall and securing our borders, and a strong advocate for our brave men and women who serve and have served our country. We are honored to have President Trump's support, but most importantly, we ask for your endorsement and support. Our rural Texas district has a rural congressman. We live in Terrell and raise our beautiful kids there. Lance understands what rural conservatives want in Washington, and my husband will continue to deliver for the people of Van Zandt County and CD5. We are very proud of the positive campaign we are running, and we continue to ask for your love and support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Good. Don Hill, you have 2 minutes to do your opening.
Thanks for coming out tonight, everybody. This is a great crowd. I'm very excited to see y'all. This is the 5th candidate forum I've done, so I'm happy to show up at each one of these and talk to the voters. How many of y'all think it's a good idea to have military veterans serving in our U.S. Congress? Show of hands. How many of y'all think it's important for us to have business owners and people with extensive business experience serving in our Congress that understand the difference between low taxation and high taxation and the effect of higher regulation and lower regulation? Anybody agree with me on that one? And then how many people think we've got too many career politicians up in Washington, D.C.? Okay, so let me tell y'all a little bit about me. I joined the Army at 17, right out of high school. I served as an infantryman in the United States Army in the 101st Airborne Division and served for 2 years on active duty. After I got out, I went to college, put myself through college, and during that whole time, I served in the Texas Army National Guard. I was a paratrooper and a Ranger patrol leader in the National Guard while I was going to college, and even as I continued to work later on. I worked full-time in Fort Worth for a while at General Dynamics, building F-16s or helping with that. I didn't screw on stuff myself, but was in a different job. During that time, I put myself through graduate school. I was driving up to Denton every night, going to school to earn an MBA from the University of North Texas. After working for 6.5 years, I decided to go pursue the law. I'd always had an interest in it, and I put myself through law school at the University of Houston. I graduated in 1998. And I've been working as a lawyer in Dallas since then. So that's 21 years as a lawyer. For the last 13 years, I've run my own law firm. And so I've got small business experience. I have extensive work experience, 30 years worth. And I served in the Army for 2 years on active duty, 7 years in the Guard, 9 years total. I understand that we need people with military experience and business experience in DC, and that's what I'm offering the voters. Thank you. It's all me now. Okay.
What would be your top three? Can everybody hear me?
No.
All right. What would be your top three policy initiatives if elected?
I would start on every policy initiative, whether they're proposed by me or proposed by someone else. I start with the Constitution. The first question I would ask myself is this proposal authorized by the United States Constitution for the federal government to get involved in? If it's not, you stop right there. So that's going to be my first issue, is going to be returning us to a situation where we respect the Constitution and our federalism system, where the federal government has its limited powers and the states are left with everything else. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that states are in control and make the decisions on everyday issues that are theirs under the Constitution. That would be number one. That's where I would start. Number two, every opportunity I had, I would, if it is authorized by the Constitution, the next question is, how does this affect individual liberty rights and private property rights? And if it imposes too many burdens on those two items, then I'm going to stop right there. So that's going to be my push, is going to be reducing regulation, reducing legislation, and removing the federal government from your lives and the state's authority every chance I get.
And I have one follow-up. What policies would you propose for veterans?
For veterans, number one, just let's do this real quick. How many veterans are here in the audience tonight? Would y'all please stand and be recognized? Thank you all. So for veterans, there's several issues facing. One is we have, for 20 years now, we've been fighting the war on terrorism. And it's a very important issue for us. And it's something that's going to continue in some form. But what we need to do, and the president has led the way on this, is saying these things also have to wind down at some point. So for our active military, I would be pushing for a reduction of deployments and using our military force only when necessary. But when we do, doing it decisively so that we win quickly, and we remove all these ridiculous rules of engagement that we put on our troops that make them unsafe and get them armed, and get them home as soon as we're done. So we're going to go win, and we're going to get out. And when they get home, we're going to take care of them as well. Education benefits, that's how I went through college, and that's how all of our veterans should have an opportunity to go through college and get that education to follow on in their life. Also for health care, we need to improve the system and get them more access to health care, whether it's at the VA or at private health care facilities.
Which of President Trump's policies do you not support and why?
Oh boy, there's that tricky one. That's one you don't practice for. Let's see. Give me an unpopular one. Sorry?
If any.
If any. Oh, well, okay. Well, they left me out there. No, I'm sure if I thought long enough, I could find something. Here's something that I think the president was forced into this last time. And frankly, he was forced into it in part by a vote from the current rep from this district. President Trump said the last time, he's not going to sign any more of these omnibus spending bills. Y'all remember year end, I can't remember the exact number, $1.4567 trillion, all in one gigantic bill, 1,000 pages or more, that no one has any time to read. And Congress says, there it is, Mr. President, you got to sign this, or we're shutting everything down and everyone's going to suffer. That's no way to run a business. I'm a businessman, and so if I ran my business that way, we would fail immediately, right? You can't plan. So that would be one thing. And again, the president didn't do that. He didn't make up that rule. He was forced into that by our Congress. Our Congress needs to support the president in getting him regular appropriations bills on a regular schedule. That's what I would support.
Mr. Hill, will you pledge to oppose the bill called the Way Forward, endorsed by more than 40 Democrats, which would reduce enforcement powers of border security and immigrations and customs? Explain why or why not.
The question was, would I oppose that bill?
Yes, sir.
I got to tell you, I don't know the details of that one. That sounds like another one of those ones that's probably gigantic. But by your description, I can tell you that I would oppose it. If it impacts our border security enforcement, I would oppose it because our country's based on the rule of law. And if we don't start by enforcing the laws we have on the books to secure our border and to stop the flow of illegal immigration into our country, drug trafficking, human trafficking, all of these negatives that are happening down there on the border, you have to start with securing the border. And it sounds to me like that bill would be something that would not do that, it would do just the opposite. And in fact, there's a current push, as you know, for Democrats in D.C. are pushing to have local law enforcement to get out, and this is done at the state level as well, get local law enforcement completely out of the way and leave our federal officers all on their own trying to secure the border. I think that's a negative impact of bills like this as well, and I would not support that bill.
Okay, and what would make you a better representative than our current congressman and assure us of equal or more conservative voting record than he has?
So my life experience would. I served in the military for 9 years, active in reserves. I was a leader there. I won awards for leadership. I won awards as honor graduate of courses, both for academic achievement and for physical achievement and physical fitness. And so that's 9 years of experience there. I have 30 years of work experience in the private sector in different industries, manufacturing, shipping and transportation, and now the law. And the great thing about the law is you learn not just about the law, you learn about all these other industries that your clients have involvement in. So that's 30 years of experience, 9 years of military experience that Mr. Gooden doesn't have. And so I think that experience I would draw on to analyze policy and law in D.C. and the proposals. I understand what over-regulation and I understand what over-legislation does in constricting and removing the incentive for our economy to grow and for individual entrepreneurs to grow their businesses.
Okay, 1 minute closing statement.
I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. As I mentioned earlier on, I think there's three things that distinguish me from my opponent in this race: military experience, leadership experience, 30 years of work experience in different industries. I'm a husband and a father of two, a sixth grader and a fourth grader. I've got lots of experience in different industries, and just the whole package, I believe, will make me more effective and will allow me to bring all that experience to bear in analyzing law, policy in D.C. I'll support our president. I'll support the Second Amendment. Of course, I'm a life member of the NRA, and I didn't do that just because I'm running for office. I did that a long time ago. And I'm a firearms collector, and so your Second Amendment rights are going to be safe with me. Your First Amendment rights are going to be safe with me. All of your constitutional rights are going to be safe with me, and I am going to get the federal government out of your way as much as possible. Finally, on term limits, there's a lot of talk about term limits. Everybody says, a lot of people in D.C. say, I support term limits, and I'm not going to, I'll get out. Well, there's a proposal up there now for term limits by Senator Cruz, and everybody says they support it, but no one, the bill doesn't pass. It's a proposed constitutional amendment. It will not pass because it takes way too long for this to happen. And so they keep saying they support it, but they're not going to ever have to honor that pledge. I will honor that pledge, and I'll tell you now that I will get out. If you will elect me as your representative, I will leave on my own in 6 years. An honest man doesn't need a law to tell him what to do. So thank you all for coming out tonight. I appreciate the time, and I'm sorry that I ran over.
Thank you.